game dev does not make you better at game dev. If that's making you scratch your head right now, you either lack enough EXP in game dev or you lack fundamental skills, because otherwise a light bulb should be going off right now. This is not something I hear people talk about enough. If anything, I often see this kind of glorified concept of like, oh, just bang your head against the freaking rock wall until, you know, the rocks smash, but what's actually going to happen is your head's going to break. There was a recent very good video by Ace Roll which did address that game dev is not actually really a skill unto itself. It's a bunch of sub skills, but I feel I really need to elaborate on this. First off, the reality of the matter is a lot of what you're doing in game dev is like shit. Like if I want to add a spell to this game, okay, I have to do a bunch of shit that does not make me better at anything really. Like I have to make like a sprite for it. I have to get a whole little sprite sheet together. I have to make sure all the timings match the timings that I did when I animated the attack in like Clip Studio and stuff. And so I have to be like, oh shit, am I getting this exactly right? Was there some kind of glitch? Like what's the ideal, like there's little things like setting up like, you know, when it should glow, when it shouldn't glow. That lines over a little bit with like fundamental animation skill stuff. But here's the thing. Are you learning that specific skill, like in this case animation, as optimally as you would in a non-game dev environment? The answer is pretty much always going to be no. Unless you specifically set up the project to make it yes. And so that's what I mean. Like a lot of the time you're working in 3D, you're working in pixel art, you're doing things that are not how things normally are done. And even with like animation, let's say everything else is the same. You're often working in 30 FPS or 60 FPS, which is obviously not how animation is usually done. Animation's usually done. I don't know why that just went off. Why did that just go? That's not how animation is usually done. It's usually done in 24. So even little things like that, it's misaligning, optimizing your EXP and stuff. And this is the thing I see all the time. Tutorials. I constantly see people using tutorials, and tutorials have their time and place. Like Blargus put up a little tutorial, like what is the reset track in Godot Animator. I'm like, I didn't know what that was. I didn't feel like digging through docs or whatever to find out, so I just clicked that video. He told me in like 2 minutes. Okay, I was done. That's what a good tutorial is. A good tutorial is not let me like, you know, spoon feed you right down your fucking throat like exactly how to do a thing. That is actually just a collection of fundamental skills. And so that's really what it comes down to. Coldies. You gotta do your coldies. You gotta hit your fundies. If you're not a good enough coder that you could be coding just normal software professionally, you shouldn't be going near games. And that's something I think I cringe like into two pieces. Like my body breaks in two every time I see people say, I'm learning like Engine, I'm learning Unreal, I'm learning Unity, I'm learning Godot. No, you're not learning anything. You don't learn any of these things. Like imagine like a professional chef. You know, imagine one of his knives is useless now. He needs to get a new knife. Okay, and his old blacksmith or whatever the fuck, whoever makes him knives, he died or something, so he needs to get a knife from a new guy. Okay, would he say like, I'm learning this new knife? Would he say that for more than like a day or two? Maybe he'd have a week or something, maybe a month, absolute tops. after a week, he wouldn't even say I'm learning this knife. He'd say I'm still maybe slightly getting used to this knife. You know, he would not say there's nothing to learn about a fucking knife. There's something to learn about the skill he's doing. And that's really like the issue here. And I do not see this addressed. And I think the reason I don't see it addressed is because a lot of people profit off of telling you can learn and showing you how to learn these fucking engines. You're not learning shit. Like, for example, this video right now was a tutorial on how to do some bullshit that you could just read the docs to figure out with fucking Godot. I would probably get a lot of views, and a lot of people would start becoming dependent on me, and then that can turn into money kind of easily. But that's it's literally snake oil. It's a snake oil industry because you're not getting better. Like, if there's anything in Godot that you want to do that's just not happening, even after you read the docs, it's either because like Godot is like, it's one of its areas where it's a complete piece of shit and like it has something super obscure that needs to be configured with it, which tutorials are probably not going to help you with anyway, because the answer to that, it's very unlikely someone would make a video specifically dedicated to that weird issue. Or you just suck. You just didn't code enough, unless you can't like read. Yeah, Godot's docs aren't the best written thing, but they should be enough to figure anything out you need to figure out. So like, I remember spending, I think it was like 6 hours trying to figure out exactly how to plot and render vertices from scratch in script. And it took me about like 6 to 8 hours or something. There's no good tutorials on it or anything. And you just have to understand how, you know, what classes do they already have set up for you? Like, how does it treat its render pipeline and all that stuff? What's everything it needs to actually dynamically render something through script? If you can't do something like that from scratch, if you're not looking at this thing and thinking of it as if you built the engine, if you're thinking of it as a black box, you're fucked. You're not going to get anywhere. And it's the same with the art. I see people all the time, they go straight to 3D, like, I'm going to learn how to make, like, good 3D models and shit. You're not going to draw. Just fucking draw. Like, you can do 3D 10% of the time. Other 90% of the time, I want to see your ass doing coldies. I want to see you drawing. Draw a fucking anime, download some anime sete, copy the shit out of them, draw original stuff, get good at that. Like, you're not gonna produce good 3D. What you're gonna do is you're gonna be able to do paint by numbers tutorials and stuff within some kind of radius of these paint by number tutorials. You're not gonna be able to actually make anything fucking interesting, and all the shit that needs to go into a game. Okay, let me tell you a cool story. When I was like 15, I emailed JB, John Blow, because I knew he was like I'm good at coding guy in the game industry. And I was like, yo, how do I fucking do so and so? And at the time, there's like no good engines. There were no good like public engines and all that shit. It was like really hard to actually put a game together. Most people were trying to indie dev on a potato too, so like it was really hard to get anything optimized because your computer probably absolutely sucked. My computer was ass. Everything would slow down in like 2 seconds if I tried to do anything. So it's really, really hard to figure out like what the fuck do you even do to get moving. That's why there were so few people trying to dev back then. So I emailed JB. I'm like, yo, what the fuck's going on? Like, give me some direction, man. Like, if you did it, I should be able to do it. And he was like, he said he actually answered my questions shockingly politely for, you know, what his reputation is. But then the key thing that stuck out to me was, if you want to make a game, coding needs to be like breathing. And just copy paste that for whatever you want to actually be good in your game. You want good graphics? Drawing specifically, not like your fucking paint by numbers 3D shit. Drawing needs to be like breathing. You want good music, composing needs to be like breathing. You want an actually interesting story, You're not going to smash your head against the wall until you get like a good story. Writing good narratives that you've shown people who are not biased to, you know, licking your ass, said is fucking good and interesting and moving. That's how you get an interesting story. That's how you get interesting characters and an interesting world in your game. If it's not like breathing, it's not going to be good in the actual product. So how do you fix that? Well, you fucking target the thing you want to be actually good in the game, and you go nuts. You go absolutely nuts. You grind the shit out of it. So the thing is you have to ask, why are you making a game? Because first off, there is this delusion that everyone goes in with, that they can get good at everything. They can get good enough at everything that needs to go in the game. You cannot. You cannot. And this holds more weight coming from me than anyone, because I am someone who has, for many years now, consistently honed skills in every single piece of the game dev pipeline. And my game's not even using 3D, but even 3D I know. Not super well, but I know it enough that I can do everything. Like, I could model, texture, rig, everything. That is not something you can do, even with decades. You will never be pro in more than like one thing, and then another. You can be pro at two things, but you're going to be a lot more pro at one of those things than another thing. That's just how it is, and you need to learn to accept that. So I'm not going to reveal my exact age and everything and how long I've been doing stuff, but I have been preparing to do this multi-skill shit. I was almost 15, and I felt very late, and I had a very good reason to feel very late to trying to build multiple skills. Almost 15 is kind of late to become pro at a single skill. You have to grind. Basically, you got to make sure you're getting at least probably 10 hours in every single day. At least, like, you know, make it so that you're getting like 6 hours every day, and then like 15 on the 2 weekend days. Or you're probably not gonna make it. Like, if you want to do like art or something. If you're just trying to get some coding job, yeah, you can do it with coding. But if it's music, storytelling, or visual art, you're not gonna, you know, 15 is fucking late. However, even starting a single skill in your 20s, one of those, you can become pro at it, even very good pro at it, even, you know, somewhere in your early 30s if you go fucking nuts. But you can't do that if you're splitting up your focus with other game dev skills shit. Thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. Oh, music, that's, if I just do music for 3 hours a day for 5 years, I'll be good enough to make my game. No, you will not. You will not. I'm telling you, I promise you, it doesn't matter how much talent you have, you will not. It will not happen. So you need to take your age into account, and it becomes harder and more painful and just not worth it to build skills the older you get. You have to ride off of the momentum of what you did in your youth. So if you're really passionate about visual art in your 20s, and you think, I want to make a game to express that, but you haven't built any of these skills, no, just focus on art. It's going to be a miracle if you can even make it in art. But you can do it, so just go nuts. The thing is that, like, you could still make like little simple prototypal, super simple games that are not like meant for mass consumption. Like, back to actually JB, like, he had a level design. I feel bad saying funny, but it's funny because of the way people reacted to it. There's a clip where JB talks about his level designer who died, and he made a game, and I assume it's one of the portfolio pieces that got him hired. He made this little puzzle game with like no music, the graphics are fucking retarded and whatever, but it shows that he can do this like puzzle design shit that JB really values. So JB, I assume, hired him off of that game and maybe other stuff he had in his portfolio. Like, you can make games like that. Like, if you're like an artist and you just wanna like waste a tiny bit of time putting some kind of like what is effectively a glorified art showcase together, that's great. Writers could do the same thing. Music dudes could do the same thing. But that's it. Like, you are gonna need a team, and this is the thing that the Ace Rolovid, because he was saying basically the same thing, like, you need a team. This is the thing he didn't touch on, though. Getting a team is fucking hard. Okay, like, you can't. This is just as much of a delusion as like, I'm gonna get good at everything, is the team's we're just gonna, it's gonna be like fucking, it's gonna be like the dark fucking tournament, like you know, I'm just gonna be in there, like, I'm gonna have my team Toguro. Like, no, you are not gonna have your team Toguro. It's not gonna happen. That's why he's team Toguro. That's why he fucks everyone else up in the tournament. That's why like any of them are better than every other team, because it's so hard to get a good team. It's just, you're not gonna get a good team. I'm sorry, you're not. It's not gonna happen. It's good team members are needles in haystacks. And note how I said good team members, not good team members who want to work on your team and are loyal and will be affordable, blah, blah, blah. Just good, period. If you add all those other conditions, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get good teammates. Unless you go very, very hard into a clique, a creator clique, and you have some amount of clout within that clique, and you have something like esteem or money, you know, preferably money, something to share, something to incentivize. That's extremely hard to do, and it's time consuming. You have to socially, politically, ideologically, aesthetically, everything has to align with a clique to really be part of a clique, and you have to have something that you really offer to be accepted in that clique. So no, it's just like, yeah, Toby Fox, he was part of a clique that helped him make Undertale back in the day. It was a lot easier to be part of a clique back then because there's less competition. He had a specialty, all that stuff. That worked for him. That you'll never get that situation. And even him now, he's struggling to put together an actually good team. I've looked up his teammates. His teammates he's trying to use on Deltarune suck. For some reason, he's not using Temmie much, who was his by far best teammate. She's extremely, extremely good. And she could probably whip up all the graphics he needs in the game in like a fucking like season. But for some reason, he's not using her as much. I don't know why. He switched the art direction to Gigi, and I don't know why. And maybe she's too expensive now. I don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe he did something a little weird, champ, and she wants to distance herself. I don't know. But at any rate, yeah, so this is a really important kind of red pill I wanted to get off my chest, so if you're lucky enough to see this and it's relevant to you, then you can thank me by going to my main channel and watching my devlogs. So we got Orc Castle cooking. It's going to be fucking huge. It's going to sell 1 million copies, at least. So check that shit out.